Welcome to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. Margaret Thatcher. Let's get into the conversation. And a hot one.
Who don't know, what is emotional intelligence? Take us through a little bit about it.
Oh my goodness, it is the ability to be able to use, manage, understand your emotions in a healthy manner.
There I was, an upcoming HR professional. I was flying high, scoring. I was even deemed the best HR of the year. As I said before, you may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. Margaret Thatcher. I hope I'm saying her last name right. Welcome, everyone, to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Welcome to Women's Month. We are halfway there. Today is the 19th of March, 2025, a Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, today we are diving into a powerful and very much necessary conversation. Yes, we are. One that remains sometimes in the shadows, but it impacts our lives in a very crucial way. Addiction, resilience, healing, transformation, life. So women face in this women's, being Women International Month, focusing on that. Last week we talked about, what did we talk about last week? We talked about taking care of your bodies, taking care of your mind, taking care of your soul. We talked about that with Tina Wilson, and she came in, and the quote that I used was, take care of your body because it's the only place you have to live. So today we're talking about, there are battles out there that we have to fight. So, and we may have to fight them more than once. Women face unique challenges when it comes to any kind of addiction, trauma, society pressures, struggles to balance, our personal and professional life. It's not easy out here in these streets. Can we just say that? It's not easy out here. But today, we're not just talking about the problem. We want to get beyond them, right? We are shedding light on healing, on resilience, on transformation. And I am so very much honored to get this conversation started with our speaker that we have today, a very special woman that I got to know through her daughter, and because her daughter was on here, Susan was on here before. You guys know her. She was here last year, once or twice, I believe. She talked about vulnerability, and you guys know vulnerability. That's humanity. You can't get away from that. So get ready today for a very powerful discussion on how women can reclaim their lives, build resilience, and break free from any and all kinds of addiction. Let's lean in. Let's learn. Let's support each other. Let's not be crabs in the bucket, you guys, and bring other people down. We want to lift people up. So let's lift each other up. And I believe this conversation today is a great way to kind of get that going. So let's bring up our speaker, Jan. Let's bring her up. Let me see. Let me make sure I can do this right. Jan Stout, you're here. Please let me know if I said your last name right. Did I say it right?
You did.
Welcome to A Glimpse of Growth, Jan. Thank you for being here. Let the beautiful people know who you are and where you are at.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Dale. I'm really thrilled to be here today. When you asked me to do this, I thought, I really don't have that much to say. But then my daughter, Susan,
Of course.
told me, Mom, you have a whole lifetime of these things that we're going to talk about. To begin with, my name is Jan Stout. I'm 81 years old and love being my age. The 82 month, and I love it. I have fun. I am in recovery. I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll tell you a little bit about how I got there. I took my first drink in college. I don't took a drink before that because I was scared of my mother. So when I got away to college, I took that first drink. And honestly, I think that first drink, I knew I was not like everybody else. Everybody else
What made you
took,
say what made you say that? What made you
because
say that, Jen?
everybody else was taking 2 or 3. That wasn't enough for me. I wanted to have a buzz. I wasn't real comfortable with myself. So in order to have a little alcohol, I felt like I was more free to be what other people expected of me. So that was the
Wow.
beginning. Then it continued until I was 48 years old. Now, in the interim, I got married. I had 3 wonderful children. And it dawned on me at one point in my life, my lowest point of my life was when the doctor told me I had the beginning of cirrhosis. And if I didn't quit drinking, I would never see a grandchild. I would be dead in 18 to 19 months. Now,
Okay, Jan. Oh, Jan, you said a lot. You think you didn't say a lot, but you said a lot in that short period of time. So before we get to that part, I want to capitalize on what you said just now as it relates to, you said you kept drinking because of you wanted to the expectation of others. Help me understand that a little bit more.
yes, that's a characteristic I have. I'm a people pleaser and I want to do what other people expect of me. And I had no self-confidence. So that alcohol gave me the self-confidence. I could do anything I wanted to do. It was all right here. It was all right
Wow.
here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the doctor gives you this bad news. And what are you thinking at that moment? What are you thinking?
Scared me to death. I wanted to see my grandchildren. I wanted to live. I did not want to miss all that I'm got right now. I was only 48 years old. I had never worked, Dr. Dale.
No.
So That was back in the day
So you
when
were a stay-at-home mom?
I was a stay-at-home mom and felt that that was kind of a letdown for myself because I lacked 1 year of finishing college,
Yeah.
which really, really a regret of mine.
So you did not finish college then as a result.
No. But I
And
had
look,
Susan.
and you had Susan. So Susan, little baby Susan, little baby Susan. So alcohol took over your life so much so to the point where it caused you to not finish something that you really wanted to finish.
Yes. I wanted to be an interior decorator, and I never got the chance because back in those days, women didn't work. They didn't have their own businesses like you all have the advantage of having today. So I was stuck. I was stuck.
So what about the people that you had around you, friends, family, to encourage you to stay in school or go back to school or give you that guidance and encourage? Did you have anybody around you like that?
No. Actually, I had a husband who told me, Jan, you're not smart enough to do that kind of stuff. You're not smart enough. And of course, that added to the disappointment in myself.
And your self-image about yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. And what about your mom and dad? And do you have siblings? How many siblings do you have?
Well, I am an only child out of 3
Ah.
marriages. So I figured, well, I was so bad, nobody else wanted to have any more babies.
I don't think that's the case, but that's a good. It's a joke, though. It's a good joke.
So, but it's funny.
It's funny now, but in reality, when you think about it, it's kind of sad, Jack.
It's
It
very
makes me
sad.
sad. It makes me sad.
And I think that's the reason I felt that I needed that alcohol. That was the only friend I had. And in fact, I got to the point of I couldn't leave the house without having a drink first. And it was,
Wow.
yeah. But it still I still kept on until that doctor told me. And that's the day he gave me a list of AA meetings. I went to one that night and I felt like I had walked into a room and I was home.
So, Jan, you went from in your early 20s to all the way to age 48.
Amazing I'm alive, isn't it?
God is good.
Yes, he is. He was by my side the whole time, or I wouldn't be here. He helped me out of all these situations I got myself in, which were not good. He took care of my children. Now, I do want to add something.
Yeah.
I asked my children, one of your questions was, how did this affect my children?
Mm-hmm.
And they all said they felt like they had grown up in a different home. The reason being, the oldest one was not in the worst part of my addiction. I could handle it, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
My second one, I just kind of let him do his own thing, But my
Yeah.
third one,
Yeah.
little girl, she got the worst. We went bankrupt. We had to move from Birmingham to Florida.
Yeah.
And I had to leave her in Birmingham to finish high school. And to this day, she still says, I kind of feel left out, and that kills me. But
Wow.
now we all have a wonderful.
Wonderful relationship because you started to heal when you went to that addiction, that AA meeting, right? You said you felt like you were home.
Yes, I was in a room with people exactly like me. Nobody understands that you walk into that room and those people understand you. They don't judge you, they help you. And that was what saved me. Now,
So
I
you
have a little bit more to add, or do you want me to be quiet?
No, no, my question, okay, so I have a question for you, right? So you're there, so your very first meeting, you're there and you accepted this with open arms. You didn't walk in and be like, at the end of the meeting, you wasn't like, this is not for me. I am not that bad. Is it that bad? Or were you still traumatized by what the doctor had told you that you may not see your grandkids grow up?
No, I knew I was an alcoholic.
You
I
already
knew
knew.
it. I had no doubt about it. And so when I walked into that room, I was home. But I do have to tell you, part of my story is
Yeah.
my husband didn't think he was one of us.
So
And
your
he
husband
and
was an
did
alcoholic as well?
I'm sorry.
He was an alcoholic as well?
Oh yes, we were drinking buddies.
Oh, well, Jen, that's you didn't mention that part. He was?
He was, yes. But when we walked out of that first meeting, I told him, I said, I'm home. I found a place. And he said, I'm not like those people. And he did
Wow.
pass away 19 months later from alcohol at
No.
49 years old.
No. As a result of.
Alcohol,
So the
cirrhosis.
doctor so the doctor gave him pretty much both of you guys the same prognosis.
Yes. Yes.
And he detached himself from that result and said, that's not for me. I'm not that bad. I'm okay.
Yes. So
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Jen.
the
Yeah.
first step in your addiction is to admit
Minute.
you are an addict or an alcoholic. Until you know, there's nothing you can do about it.
So, Jan, you that's pretty much I would say that with any issues that you have in life, you got to admit that you did wrong. You got to admit that there's room for improvements. You got
Yeah.
to admit that maybe you don't know it all, right?
I
Admit
didn't know anything. I just sat and listened, kept my mouth shut,
wow,
and
and
sat and listened.
soaked up all of the information. Soaked it all up.
Yes.
Wow.
I
What a big
also I also got a sponsor, which is very important in the program. She had like 30 years sobriety, and she walked me through the steps. She spent years walking me through the steps, the 12
Mhm.
steps of AA.
Can
And
you give me really quick the 12 steps, the bullet points of each one?
well, the first one is to admit that I am powerless and my life is unmanageable.
Got it.
That is the only step that we can perform 100%. The steps teach you that with your sponsor, who you must trust,
Yeah.
you share your life, the good and the bad, with your
Yeah.
sponsor.
Yeah.
And I do sponsor girls now.
As a result of. So
as
somebody sponsored you and poured into you and helped you. Now you sent the elevator back down and decide to help other people that was in the same shoe as you, or are in the
and
same shoe as you.
and when I sponsor people, I
Yeah.
get more out of it than they do.
I think at the end of the day, when we are being that mentor, we are talking to ourselves more than anything else. I do
Yeah.
believe that. I do
Yes.
believe that. So tell me about this. I mean, the steps. What were some of the steps that you kind of took to start rebuilding your life slowly? What are some of the first things that you did?
I had to admit that God can do for me what I cannot do for myself. Now, there may be some people listening to this that
Yeah.
are afraid of AA because
Yeah.
it's religious.
Yeah.
It's not religious. It's spiritual, but it scares a lot of people because they think it's like going to church and they don't want to do that. But it's not. It's people telling you exactly what you've been through and how they
Yeah.
got through it.
Right. Right. Which is what you did, right? That's
Yes.
what you did. It worked for you. You followed the steps. You realized that, you admit that you were wrong and you didn't have nothing figured out and you started over from scratch.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
there's another story going here.
Yeah. Talk to me.
I was in the program for
Hmm.
13 years.
Okay.
Now, I had someone offer me a glass of wine.
Somebody inside of the program, outside the program.
Outside of the program.
They did not know your history
They
on.
knew. They knew.
Okay, so they thought that you were healed or good, or what was the.
Well, in my mind, I got 13 years sober. I can
Yeah.
have a glass of wine. You know what? That was my disease sitting right here on my shoulders telling me, yeah, you can have one. No,
And you had it, or did you have it? Did you have it?
I had it and I was back out there, what we call back out the real world,
Yeah.
10 years.
Jen, Jen, Jen. I thought that was it. I thought it was one and done for you. Wow. So
No,
they say that addiction is a disease. Is that what it means, that it's a disease right there? That.
it is a disease and it's very progressive. So the after the 10 years, it did not take near what it did the first time to get me drunk.
Back.
Now,
Wow.
eventually, I sat there one Sunday night alone, and I'll never forget it. And I thought, I can't do this anymore. I'm letting my family down. I'm letting myself down. I'm letting God down. So I called a detox center.
Yeah.
I went there for 3 days, and that was June the 6th of whatever 13 years ago was.
So let me get this straight. So okay, so you got this prognosis at age 48 from the doctor, and saying that you either walk away right now or you are not going to live to see your grandchildren, and you decide to walk away. You walk into an AA meeting. When you walk into that AA meeting, you was home and you were good for 13 years. And then someone offered you a glass of wine, and that took you back into that world of addiction for
Right.
10
One,
additional or 10 additional years. Is that what you're saying?
it took
Yes.
one drink to get me back to having a bottle of wine a day for 10 years. Now, when I was sitting there that Sunday night by myself, God literally spoke to me and said, Jan, this is enough. So that was 13 years ago. And here I am at 81 having a great time. And I have 7 grandchildren and just had 2 beautiful, great
Oh
grandbaby girls.
my goodness. If that's not a story for the books, Jan, I hope you know that you're gonna write a story. You need to write a book. You need to write a book because women, there are people out there all over the United States, the world, that is going through exactly this. From my understanding, 27 million Americans today, ages 12 or older, reported battling with drug addiction, just in the past year.
Oh, yeah. It's
It's
worse.
it's insane. And sometimes, with these kinds of issues, people think that they have to do this alone. And you can't do this kind of,
No.
yeah. Tell me,
There,
let's talk about that.
there are like 150 AA meetings in Broward County a day. Now,
Uh,
they can look up on the website, Alcoholics Anonymous.
AA.
They'll tell you meetings.
It's aa.com or aa.org.
It's aabroward.com.
.com. Okay, so there you have it. There you have it, you guys. If you know of someone that needs support, that needs help, Jan has done the program and she's being completely vulnerable here and sharing her experience. My goodness. Okay, so Jan, so what made you, so God spoke to you in that moment and you decided to walk away completely. So does that mean that you cannot have alcohol ever again for the rest of your life? Is that what that means then? Do you know people that actually do it and don't go all the way and become addicts again? Like, how does that work?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. Can have a drink or two and enjoy it,
Okay.
but they don't have the disease. And it is a disease. It's something in your body that it gets worse. If I had a drink today, I probably would not live to next year. And I got to see those great grandbabies grow up.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So that means that you can never have alcohol again,
No,
right?
never.
What about other people that have been through the program? Can they have, or is it like across the board?
No, it's across the board. If you are an addict or an alcoholic,
Yeah.
you can never, never touch alcohol again. And it's really not bad because I thought everybody drank. But if I go to a gathering,
Yeah.
I notice who's not drinking and who's drinking.
Yeah.
And there's not as many people drinking as I used to think they were drinking.
Yeah. A lot of people that I know don't drink when they go out. They don't feel like, some people feel like they need to drink in order to have a good time, but you don't need to drink to have a good time. And when we say drink, we're talking about alcohol, of course. You can sit there and just have they have I like the juices that they make now that are very fruity and whatnot. Those kinds of that's a nice drink. Those are nice drinks as well.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to have a glass of wine. You don't have to have a beer. You don't have to have that strong alcohol to know that, maybe you don't need that to have a great time.
No, my adult drink is Arnold Palmer, which is iced tea and lemonade.
I love it. I love it. I love me some pina colada. So that works. Okay, so then they can't have a drink never again. And so are they missing out on that much? Why do they feel like, oh my God, you can't have alcohol?
No,
You're missing out.
they're not missing out on anything, because half the time I didn't remember. I had really bad blackouts. So
What?
I would go and wonder how I got home. I would wonder who I was with. I would wonder uh, how I got. I mean, it was total blackouts. It's like you're asleep and you don't know what's happening.
You
That's the
don't know
way it
what's
affects me.
you don't know what's happening to your body, who's around, are you safe? Like, that's dangerous. I'm so glad you are here today to tell this story and you made it out, because I'm sure millions of people do not make it out.
No, they don't need it.
They don't make it out, and they are not able to come back and tell their story. Some people just didn't get
Oh,
a chance, like your husband, right? Your husband that passed away, he didn't get to tell his story, right?
he didn't even get to meet but one of his grandchildren for one time. And that's all. He has missed so much joy,
Much.
much joy.
My goodness. Do you believe, Jan, if he had more time, he would have come around to it and heal?
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. He never admitted to himself that he was an alcoholic. He thought everybody drank the way he drank. Now, I had to leave him, Dr. Dale, because I could not live with him drinking. So I left him with nothing. I had nothing. So I called my best girlfriend. I went to live with her for what, a year? A year or so, till I could get my feet on the ground. You have to remember, I've never worked.
Right, right, right.
So I stepped out on faith and went to live with her. I got a minimal job, and then I got more jobs and I worked better. And I was able to take care of my mother as best I could,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't have been. And now she never thought I was an alcoholic. She
What do you
said,
mean? She wasn't around when you said you drank your first drink when you left home in college. So
yeah,
she never knew that you were drinking or this heavy?
she did. And then when I went back to visit her one time and I
Yeah.
wasn't drinking, she said, well, why aren't you having a glass of wine with me? And I said, because mother, I'm an alcoholic and I can't drink. You're not an alcoholic, Jan. But I knew.
So she never accepted that you were an alcoholic. So she was in denial too, to even see, because she didn't want to see her daughter in that way. I'm sure that, that's why.
Right, right. And a lot of families are in denial. They don't think that it's their kid that has a problem. It's just like drugs. They hide them,
Mhm.
and they say, well, not my kid. So that's the way my mother was.
So then you couldn't go to her for support, even when you were battling yourself, because
No.
then
But I
even
had my friends in AA.
so even before you got to the AA, you would have, if you had realized for yourself without the doctor even giving you that wake up call, you would have went to her and say, "Mom, I think I have an alcohol problem." She would have said to you, "What are you talking about? No, you don't." So you would have never. It wouldn't have made sense to her anyways. So
No,
you couldn't go to her for help.
no. But
Wow.
I knew. And I will
Yeah.
tell you that disease sits right here waiting on each one of us to take a drink. And in your soul, you know you cannot. And my favorite Bible verse is, I can do all things through Christ.
Who strengthens me.
Right.
So how did you start to learn to forgive yourself? How
That
did you?
a long time. A long time. I think raising my children took longer than anything else. I've made my amends to every one of them. They all are so close to me now. Susan, they all say, you're not the mother I grew up with.
I love that. I love that. When was the moment you felt like you were really present and you're like, yes, I am healing and I am much better than the woman I used to be?
It was the second time I came into AA.
Wow.
I threw myself into the program. I did extra things. I kept around the people that were my people. I sponsored. In fact, I don't have many friends that are not in AA. I have
Look
a
at that.
couple, but, yeah. I just
So
keep myself surrounded.
yeah, constantly by a support system that help you heal and
Yes,
continually remind you to heal
yes,
every single day.
yes. And I get up every morning
Yeah.
and I pray that I will stay sober today. This program is a day to day, minute to minute.
Decision.
Yes. So I live
I
in the
believe. Wow. Wow. So give us one piece of advice you would give someone who's currently battling addiction right now in hopelessness.
First of all, admit they have a problem. If you do not admit it to yourself, you will never get anywhere. We say it's honesty, open mindedness, and willingness. That spells HOW. That's how you do it.
I'm going to write that down. You said honesty.
Honesty, open
Mm-hmm.
mindedness,
Mm-hmm.
and willingness. Willingness to me is the most important.
Yeah. Why?
Well, if I'm not willing to do the work, and it is work, those steps are work, then if I'm not willing to help somebody else, then what good is it? I mean, that's the reason I'm on here today, that if just one person hears what they can do for themselves to
Yeah.
straighten their life out, that's what they have to do. And there's
Yeah.
always a way to pick up the telephone, which weighs about 300 pounds, to pick up that phone,
Yeah.
say, I need help.
That sounds simple, but it must be a ton. It must weigh a ton.
It does. And I still ask, it's hard for me to ask for help. It's very hard to ask for help because I want to think I can do it, but I can't. So I call Brooke, Susan's husband, and he comes fixes it.
You said that, Jen, but there are countless other people out there that not only with addiction, with life, not wanting to reach out to someone, knowing that they need the help, forgetting that you came into this world, somebody helped bring you into this world. You need people to support you. There are people out there that are actually saying that I don't need people around me. I can be by myself, live by myself, and just have I can do for myself. I don't need anyone around me. uh but when those tough times come, who are you going to depend on? Who are you going to lean on? Who are you going to reach out to?
That's
What do you
right.
say to those people? What do you think about that?
Unless they pick up that 300-pound phone and ask for help, they're going to sit there in isolation and they're going to drink. And then they're not going to be able to get out of the house. It's a horrible reaction to your
Yeah,
addiction.
yeah, yeah. If you could go back and talk to your younger self during those struggles, what would you say?
Jan, you so stupid.
You would have said, "Oh, knucklehead, you! What's wrong with you? Get it together! Wake up!"
I made so many mistakes when I was drinking. I say, you don't think, Jan. You don't think. You got to think what's best for yourself. And I have such good support from my children that I couldn't do without them. But if I could go back, I would. My biggest regret is not finishing college, not doing what I thought I was going to be doing. And it's all because of alcohol.
And Jan, why can't you do that now?
Don't ask me that.
Jan, you told me I could ask you any questions. You said you're an open book. Here we are. Jan, I actually graduated. When I graduated my master's degree, I graduated with another individual that was 71 years old, that had his own business and everything. And he said, I said, why are you doing this? He very successful business, people that work for him and everything. And he said everybody that he was hiring for his company had degrees and he didn't have. And he decided he wanted to put that on his list of goals. And he decided to go and get his degree for college. And he graduated with a college degree at 71 years old or 72 or something like that.
Well,
granted, 80 something. So you probably got some credit there.
I just never had enough self-confidence that I could do that. I still don't.
Didn't Susan tell you that maybe you can finish it now? Did Susan ever tell you that?
A few times.
A few times.
Oh, so then Susan and I sounds like we're talking the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's up to you, but if that's not something more important to you, it's probably spending time with your grandchildren. I can see that. That would be a priority for me too. Traveling and having fun with them and living, making sure that you are as present as possible.
Yes.
Right? Because you said that alcohol, that addiction, that disease is ever present, right? It's always on your shoulders, kind of tapping you, right? So if you're not going to say, you said one of your biggest regret is not finishing your degree. Now that you're looking back at that little girl, that young woman that struggled with life, really, what would you say to her? Because remember, you were a people pleaser, right?
Yeah.
So that's not the case anymore. So what would you say to her?
Me, Susan's hounding me about going back to college. I tell you what I do is I did all of that resin work, and because I have to keep busy, and I give it away. I've given it to my kids. I've done some other work. The picture is what is called pour painting, P-O-U-R, and I started out doing that, and I got bored with that. So then I learned how to make resin. And a couple of weeks ago, had a little show at a friend's house and sold some. And so if anybody wants anything, they can just go to Jan's Jewels.
So, question for you, Jan. Why did you start doing these this art? What does it say to you? How does it make you feel? Why did you get into this?
It makes me feel accomplished. I have so many compliments, especially on that blue bowl.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. That was the first piece I ever made. And I thought, this is really pretty. So
Yeah.
I made some other things. But I have to tell you, when I stopped drinking that first time,
Yeah.
I had to have something to keep busy. So I did cross stitch and made all of my grandkids a Christmas stocking with their name on it. Well,
I love it.
This time I decided to do this kind of art because I love art of any kind.
Me too.
So, but to keep busy and not get bored, boredom is the worst thing that we can do.
I was going to say something about that. That's why I asked that question. I love it. Yes. Yes. Isn't there a part of the Bible, not to get religious here, or that says idle work, speaks about idle work? Yeah. Idle hands or something like that. Right?
Yeah. I cannot be idle.
It creates space for the enemy to creep in and say things.
Yes. And I do have quite a bit of spiritual warfare. And I belong to a group that we talk about spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And it will sneak up on you. I mean, Satan is sitting right there, Jan. This morning, when I woke up, I could not talk. I had a sore throat. I could not talk. I told Susan, and Susan said, Mom, the enemy is after you. He doesn't want you to share any of it.
Well, we ain't got time for him. We ain't got time for him. No. We gonna stand tall. We gonna stand tall and face the enemy and let him know that you have to share your story today, which is I am so glad that you did. I have one more question for you. What would you say to someone, a man or woman right now going through what you went through? What would you say to them at this moment?
Do you want to live and have a productive life? Or do you want to drink yourself, let everybody in your family down, including yourself, and get help? Get help. It's out there.
I love that. Yes, I love that. I love that. Jan, give us your favorite quote. Leave us with a word, a scripture, something. Because I'm sensing that this is for someone, and this will make a shift. It's going to move them into making a decision and finally maybe taking action on their life.
Okay, I'm going to read it if it's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
I wrote this on February the 21st of this year. I write every once in a while. I'm not a journalist, but I write these. And this is from Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test what God's will is for you, because his is good and pleasing and perfect and wise. So to me, that means, all this stuff going out there in the world, he's got it under control. So I have to do his will and not my will, which is sometimes kind of hard.
Yeah. But we can, with him, with his help, we
Yes.
can overcome it.
Yes.
Jan, I cannot thank you enough for this conversation today, for being so open and transparent and vulnerable and allowing, me to ask the crazy questions that I asked and peek into your world a little bit of what you went through and what you have overcome. Because I think that's the greatest of all is that you made it through on the other side and you're able to look back and share your story with others, so that, which is why you became a mentor for the AA, which is why you started doing this, Jan's Jewels, to kind of pay it forward and to show that you don't have to stay stuck. You
No.
don't have to stay in that moment of, dead, dread,
Yeah.
and non-alive. You can actually live a fulfilled life and not have to drink yourself to death.
And don't have to stay in isolation. Isolation is really an enemy. Get out there, find you a meeting, get you a sponsor, and you're on your way.
I agree. That's the best way to end. I ain't got nothing to say. Bye, you guys. I'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank
Thanks, Jan.
you so much, Dr. Dale.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll see you guys next week for another episode of A Glimpse of Growth.